Hello, my name is Kevin Wu and my partner is Evan Chow. This is our fossil and artifact project on the trilobite. To start off, how did we settle on making a trilobite? Well, there were really two main reasons for this. The first reason was based on the fact that the trilobite wasn't our first choice. It was actually the Gryposaurus. However, as we started our research, there was a huge lack of credible resources. We also found out that the model would have taken an incredibly long time to complete. The second reason was that we were genuinely fascinated by the backstory and anatomy of trilobites. Now on to some background information. As previously stated, our project was on the organism Trilobita, or more commonly known as the trilobite. Its name translates to three lobes, which refers to the fact that it was split into three parts: the left pleural, right pleural, and axial lobes. It was also split into three parts longitudinally, known as the cephalon, thorax, and pygidium, although the translation of the name doesn't refer to this. The trilobites existed in the Paleozoic era, but mainly thrived during the Cambrian period. Although they didn't live with many other organisms, scientists speculate that most of the other organisms were invertebrates, or an animal without a backbone. Some examples of these invertebrates were Ovariovermis, Emmons aspis, and Batulicolia.
Now let's move into the actual days, starting with days 1 through 3. We began by choosing a fossil to make. In the introduction, we already stated that we originally settled on the Gryposaurus, but due to a lack of credible resources, had to eventually make the decision to switch to the trilobite. With that aside though, the rest of the time consisted mostly of planning, including research, organizing the materials for the model, and dividing the one-pager. You can see our progress on the one-pager on the right. On days 4 through 6, nothing of high importance really happened. However, we did make good progress on our one-pager, getting the general description, vocabulary, and COSTAS questions complete. Again, you can see that progress on the right. In addition, we finished our plan for how we were going to construct our model, using clay modeling and paint. Next, days 7 through 9. As per usual, we slowly made more and more progress on our one-pager, finishing the word art for the title and outlining most of what we'd already written in pen. However, we also sculpted our first model of the trilobite. You can see it on the right, but I wasn't really happy with that final product. So instead of trying to complete it and turn it in, I decided to sculpt and paint an entirely new model. And that leads us into days 10 through 12. As I just said, I spent these days sculpting and painting a new model that you can see in the image on the right, and I was much happier with this final product compared to my original model. After I finished my model, it was just about the end of the week as well, so Kevin decided to take the one-pager over the weekend to finish the outlining and coloring. And with those two things done, our project was officially complete. Now that the project was complete, what would we change if we could do it again? For one, we would definitely make better use of our time, especially in class. We spend a lot of time in class doing things that could have been completed at home, which was a huge waste of work days. Secondly, we would have set up some form of communication quicker, which we'll elaborate on in a second.
Continuing on to the reflection questions. For number 1, what were some successes and challenges? Our largest success was that we were able to get the one-pager and model both done on time. However, our success wasn't flawless. We had many different obstacles we had to overcome. Some of these include the period of time Evan got sick and was unable to work on the project, and poor time management. Going on to number 2, what were our overall thoughts on the project? We thought that the project, overall, went well and produced a good end product. Although we had some difficulties along the way, we both agreed that our project was an overall success. As for number 3, what is the most important lesson learned? We both strongly felt that the biggest lesson learned was that planning is a step that should not be overlooked. During our project, we did plan out a few things, but as we kept progressing, we realized the amount of planning we did was insufficient. This led to us having to rush near the end of our project. Had we planned out what we were going to work on each day, the project would have been much less stressful. And lastly, question number 4. How well did my team communicate with one another? Our communication was questionable at best. From days 1 to 6, we only communicated in person. However, we soon realized that this wasn't enough and set up an email system to communicate more efficiently. But the damage had already been done. We'd fallen behind due to our minimal communication, which contributed to us having to rush to finish our project. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.